bless your holy name. I live my life to worship you alone. You brought me out of darkness and into your glorious light. Forever I will sing of your great love. Forever I will sing of your great love. I love to see you glorified, to see you lifted high. I yearn to see all nations bow their knees. It's you alone, Lord Jesus, who calls the coldest heart to find your love and everlasting peace. To find your love and everlasting peace. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
I feel so privileged to come and speak with you. I want to thank my dear sister. She's my great friend for inviting me. Doctor, thank you very much for inviting me and the entire chapel team. Even the chancellor who was here, I thanked him because, he's our superior here. So I need to recognize that. Thank you very much, choir, for singing very well and leading us. I know how to play those things, so when I see you jumping up, I feel so good. My names are Grace Elisa Sentongo. When I saw these young children here, when they came for being blessed and my friend Rebecca called me to bless them, I remember the time when I was young here. But we never came to this big chapel. Let me remind you what used to happen here. Some of you don't know. I told the children that I was almost born here. It was just unlucky. My mother was pregnant. And then during the 50s and 60s, this school had expatriates. This university, I call it school. It's a university. It had expatriates. And my father was among the few, late my father, Bishop Nsubuga, I can name, who were the African tutors here. And my father was a warden, not a professor like Dr. Nyagenya. He was a warden to the students. And I remember we used to stay in a house across their ways, we were dining. They demolished it. I was not happy because that's where I grew. And we had Canadian professor, one was called Preston, and the wife was the one in charge of Sunday school with my mother. We never came here. We occasionally went to the chapel, that small chapel, you remember that small chapel? Oh, St. Philip's. So when I see these young children, and we were very few, I remember me, my sisters and children of could come and join with the Wazungu. We used to fear them. Preston would encourage us very much to come closer, but we did. And when I see you mentoring your children, bringing them up and becoming responsible, that is a responsibility you and me should have for our children. So really, when you have small children, parents, I didn't come to talk about children, but I'm a father. I talk about them. Please nurture them in the right way, a fearing way, because if you do so, then the children grow up as people with confidence, people knows their God, and people are going to be people of integrity, women of noble character, and men of respect. I bring greetings from my Archbishop, your bishop. Yesterday I wedded with him a couple. He knows I'm here. He brings greetings to you. Bishop Mutebi, he's on leave. He brings greetings to you. And my provost, Canon Mkwana, they are aware we are here, and they send their regards. I also bring regards from my wife. She would have been here, but she's hosting bishops beginning today at Reza. She's director there at Reza Conference Center. She missed coming here and seeing me in action because she enjoys seeing me preaching. In fact, when I'm preaching, she sits there and then she crosses. And then she gives marks. Today, I don't know who's going to give me marks. Nyagenya, please stand there. Tell me where I go wrong, and then you tell Vera, she's your friend. The theme I was given today, or the topic, is the path to true living. And it is broken from the theme for this quarter, Encountering Christ, Transforming Nations. Your theme has been Encountering Christ and Transforming Nations. I'm so happy that colleagues, the Kimeras and others have talked about it, Omona, etc. And me, I'm just contributing another building step on it. I'm just contributing a building stone on this. And my friend Rebecca told me that this is a mission month, and as you preach about the path to true living, put it in the context of giving. So I'm just going to look at that theme in 30 minutes in the context of giving. Giving and receiving are biblical, godly aspects of man. When you give, you also receive. A person who doesn't give, he is not supposed to receive. A person who receives also has to do the same. So really, giving and receiving are biblical. It doesn't have any boundary. Whether you are poor or rich, it is expected of you to give. But I thought that I should also emphasize and talk about some of these keywords in what I'm going to talk. Under your theme, there are words like encountering. Encountering. Encountering could mean bumping into someone, bumping into something, come across, run into, or stumble. When you encounter someone for the positive aspect, you become friends. Like now I'm trying to encounter you. I know many of you here, especially those of my age. The younger people, I don't know very much. But I'm trying to encounter, for example, I know those. I know this man used to play very well at piano. You stole him. That gentleman was our good choir member. But you took him, we gave to you. And when he comes, you receive from him. So when you encounter, you begin knowing someone. And I want to look at it positively. That you encounter someone, you bump into him, you come across, you run into him, and then make a relationship. Then transforming could mean changing something from good, sometimes to bad, or bad to good, the positive one. Converting something or innovating. So we are encountering and transforming our church. Then the nations they talk about in Paul refer to people like you, countries, states, land, and even institutions like this one. In my topic for today, we talk about, let me read for you, path to true living. The path to true living. And then you have three keywords. Path. Path could either mean a trail. When a snail moves, it leaves a path. Who knows a snail? Snail is a very, very important animal. If it passes, it leaves a trail for you to follow. And where you see a trail of a snail, you know a snail has passed there, not Sentongo. You need to leave a path. Path could also mean a footpath. A footpath. I know students are very good at doing that one. They look at a sengenge there, and then they go and make a small hole, and then they cover it. When they want to escape, in quote, for you don't escape. When they want to escape, they go and pass through a footpath. A footpath is very strategic. In strategic thinking, footpaths are very necessary. Because if there's an enemy, then it can give you a leeway to go. But they are very dangerous. Because your enemy normally waits at footpaths. So a footpath is very important as a path, but you have to strategically know that there are challenges about it. But also it can mean a route. So the path to true living dictates that you have a trail, you believe in the best way of looking, of going things, which means there's truism in everything. True could mean spot on, actual, exact, accurate. While living, those three keywords, living means something which is alive. You can incarnate someone, like for me, I'm a father. I have Vera, my wife. I have boys and girls. Then even I have children, grandchildren. So, living means incarnating, having life going on and going on and going on and going, existing. Those keywords are very important as we look at this topic, the path of true living in the context of giving, just giving, which Paul explains to us. And Paul does it very well in the two letters of Timothy. In the first two letters of Timothy, Paul spends time talking to his young friend, I would call him son, of whom he was commissioning to go out. Paul had lived with this young man, mentored him, stayed with him. The boy sat at his feet and he's saying, look here, I'm about to go away. But this is what I expect you to do. And in the two letters, summarily, he talks about the following. He talks about issues related with church. How can the church live? How do you develop? Second one, issues related addressing false teachers. People who talk about wrong aspects. For example, in Uganda now, there are teachers like me, clergy like me, who are giving false impressions about the gospel. Have you heard about the grace gospel? I don't have time to talk about that one. Where some of us, like clergy like me, are saying it does not matter even if you sin as long as you accept Jesus Christ. That's wrong. Paul was addressing them. And clergy and you people, we are imploring you that you reawaken and then address these issues seriously. I did come on that one. I'm on path of true living in the context of giving. Next time you invite me, I'll talk about it. Another area which he talks about is providing guidance to the many groups in the church. Paul knew that Timothy is going to reach out to community like you, non-believers, believers, people who are young in faith, people who don't believe. And lastly, also talking about advice on money issue, which is my topic today. Generous giving. And we are going to address that one in 1 Timothy 6:17 to 21. But let me read it for you. I'll read it for you, don't worry. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 17 to 21. This is what Paul tells Timothy. 1 Timothy 6:17 to 21. Command those who are rich in the things of this life not to be proud, but place their hope not in such and uncertain things as riches, but in God, who generously gives us everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share with others. In this way, they will store up for themselves treasure, which will be a solid foundation for the future. And then they will be able to win the life which is true life. And verse 20-21, Timothy, keep safe what has been entrusted to your care. Avoid the profane talk and foolish argument of what some people wrongly call knowledge. For some have claimed to possess it, and as a result they have lost the way of faith. God's grace be with you all. The chaplain informed you and me that this is a mission month. And we are sending out people to go and reach out to the people. But we are reaching out to the people in this mission month to also continue clarifying on generous giving. Paul, in verse 18, uses the word, and 19 uses the word command. And in Greek, which I read here, I know Greek, I read it. The word means, or it can mean, taking a serious instruction. When I command you, for example, if I told my doctor here, Mate, we are colleagues here at university, when I can order him, please, Mate, stand up. Instruction is up. Please sit, you see. It is an instruction. When I tell him, Dr. Mate, stand up, he will stand up because he expects something from me. If I tell him, stand up and he sits down, he's disobeying. I'm not an authoritarian, but I'm telling you that when Paul was writing to his young man and you people, he was saying, I commanding you, take this instruction serious. It is a direction. It is a charge. It is a command. And he's saying, I command those who are rich in things of this world not to be proud, but to place their hope in such and certain things as riches, but God. He's saying that he is aware that among congregations like these, there are rich people. And you know, rich people are always good. They feel God has given them plenty. They sometimes, in quote, they are arrogant. They think this. But Paul is warning them and telling us, don't be proud. Everything which I've given to you is from God. But for his intention to us, that his desire was that the rich people, if they have been contributing, they should also contribute more of what they have. His desire was that the rich people could generously again recommit theirs to God. He directs Timothy to command them to do so. But also Paul was a very wise man. He also thinks about the rich and the poor. He says, I know among us people, there are people poor in quote. Not that you don't have anything, but you don't have as much others have. He says, even you people who don't have, who are not much endowed, please give generously. Many people who don't have always languish in that sort of state, and they become bakodo. Mu Uganda babayita baki? Bakodo. Someone who doesn't want to give. Paul is rebuking me, telling you that please, whether you are rich or poor, generously contribute to the development of the church. He directs Timothy to command them. He charges Timothy to tell them to give. Not commanding them, but telling them that please sacrifice what you have for the kingdom of God. How do you give to the kingdom of God? How do you give? I know you know, but let me remind you as your priest today. Giving to God implies that you plan strategically your resources. Don't give what you don't have to please others, no. Giving to God means that you have to be a strategic planner of your resources, of your time, of your possession. Let me give an example because I'm a teacher. I'll give an example. If you have your resources, you know you have to buy a good shoe, you have to buy a chapat, you have to pay school fees, you have to give to God, plan rightly how to give your money. The Bible talks about a tenth, which every person has to give, a tithe. If you have not been given a tithe, please begin today. But plan to give your money rightly, that you know that this is going to God, this is going to school fees, this is for my wife, so that you can generously give. When you are giving, never impress others. You remember that Bible thing, a person who came and then threw money there. And then another woman came and gave her own coin. Among the two, the person who was humble gave. Paul charges that tell them to give. Timothy take charge. His intention was that you and me should do the same. But Paul does not command people with a lot of arrogance. No, Paul is saying, my brother and sister, my children, the church needs to develop. The church has plans. The church is a growing institution. Giving generous to God, therefore, becomes biblical and very central in church growth and maturity. When you offer part of your money, your resources, your time, your possession, then you plant a seed of development for the church. Developing the church spiritually, in material areas, and also in reaching out to others. So, brethren, giving is very critical to a growing church like UCU. It nurtures the church, and again, it also allows you and me to know what it means giving to others. Giving generously, like Paul is saying, empowers the people of God in a given church to grow. I'm repeating this one. When you get the idea of giving to God, and then it is planted into you, you now begin knowing that everything which I have is God-given. Then I have to contribute. And then you grow maturely, spiritually, and also you let your church grow in size and everything. Remember the sermon of last time. I don't know what my colleague said, but he was saying, excelling in living. Excelling in living implies being an example to yourself, to your God, to your neighbor, to your community, to your church, in everything. By generously giving, you mature the church, you develop the church, and also you develop yourself in understanding that everything which I have, it is God who has given me, and it is for sharing with God. I want also to recapture this point. I hinted about it. The command for generous giving, like Paul says here, it deals with both people. In verse 17, he talks about the rich. Verse 19 and 18, he also talks about the people who are not much endowed. So, the rich should continue giving to the church, and you live to a much level, but even the people who are not very much endowed should not sit and relax. No, don't leave others to take your burden. You also learn to share your burden. I was so impressed when my friend Rebecca said, learning to be accountable. When he was introducing me here, learning to be accountable of your possession. Generous giving is not only resources from pocket money, no, but also your possession. How do you apportion your time to God? How do you come to contribute in cleaning this chapel every Sunday? That is possession, generous giving. How do you participate in being a verger in the church? If you don't have, come and show God that for me, I'm not endowed, but I can contribute to the choir by singing. That is a generous thing. If you have an orange, don't wait until your dorm hallmate has gone and then you eat. No. If you have a spare orange and you see your sister or brother cut it in half and say, my dear brother, although this was for me, I'm giving you part. That although don't add on. Because when you say, although it was for me, you are not giving generously. Just get it, cut it to P, give it to him. There are some sisters and brothers who may say, no, it doesn't matter when he wants or she wants. Even the one who is being given, receive. You give and receive. Generosity in giving means you give your time, your possession. In fact, she talked about, we may even put bags here. Possession like old clothes, which we can go and reach out to give other people. I have my daughter in senior 4. That's my daughter in senior 4. But I have tried to teach her. It is good she's not here. She would really beat me up. I have tried to teach her how to give, even how to collect money. She wants money a lot. But I have tried in all ways, even at home, to make a box for her to throw in what? The balances. You know those small balances. But when the term begins, and she wants to take everything, I give up. I said, this is your saving. But she will never understand that philosophy, that biblical idea of what? Saving. I want to teach you one thing. That even when you're a student in the university, you can learn to generously give if you don't have. You can have an envelope out of your pocket money. You say, this is a tithe for God. God has given you my parents. He has given you life. He has given, out of your pocket money, get a bit of it and then reserve for Him. In fact, when you reserve something for God, serious as a student, God will multiply. Some of us old people, we have testimonies. I wish I could give you testimonies here. There are times when we don't have. But when you focus to God seriously and you give generously, then God gives you in abundance. But people have not grasped that idea. When you give to God, God gives you. Sometimes you may not give now, but you can give you at a future time. I'm about to end, members. The generous giving has two aspects. When you give generously, you are preparing a ground in the future. What Paul talks about in verse 18, command them to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share with others. In this way, they will store up for themselves the treasure which will be solid foundation for the future. When you give generously to human beings, to church, you prepare a ground for your future. It is not me or you to see what you have given, but then you prepare a ground for God to reward you. But also the present is very important, that once you give and continue giving, then you let your church grow. Because the church grows because of you and my generous giving. Points to ponder as I finish. 5 of them. As Uganda Christian Chapel, what is it that you would want to harvest in this area other than appreciating, examining the ground of your giving? What would you want yourself to appreciate that I'm part of the community other than leading a path of true living? Second one, as a married man, a married woman here, what would you like your entire family to harvest for this chapel other than contributing to the humility, the development of this chapel? How are you going to, you have been doing it, but how are you going to nurture, enhance the ability of this chapel to reach out to others by following a true path? This is the point for posing with you. What would you like to see your own church at UCU harvest in this world other than true living? What do you want to see at UCU here? And then work on your path to glory. Here I'm looking at mission, intention mission. When you go 2 in 2, how are you going to impact on others? Yesterday, I had a training for my pastoral care team leaders. I'm the one priest in charge in All Saints for 64 home sales. You know, the church is so big. Here at All Saints, we are almost 7,000 people. It is so funny. The church is so big. People come in. When the priests are getting out, others coming in. It's just like you can't believe. You don't have time to reach out to the people. So a few years ago, we said, let us begin home sales. We have 64 home sales. We have 64 team leaders. We have 7 zones, 8 zones. And the priest in charge, you are supposed to go and reach them out. I haven't been there all, but you go and reach them out to talk to them, to reach them out and counsel them, and it's a big task. But I don't do it alone. I generously do it with others assisting me to reach them out. Why am I saying this one? That a church which is growing needs to have also smaller home sales to generously reach out with them, discuss the sermon which has been preached, discuss their personal thing, counsel them, even take them Holy Communion. If there are people who are old like our mothers, when I take Holy Communion to these people, they feel so good because some of them have spent 3 years in their son's home. They have never come to church. So generous giving also is not only fixed with resources, but also reaching out in small groups, cells, for the purpose of edifying. Not fellowships. Let me tell you, make a distinction between home cells and fellowships. When you get the church from the church and you take it to home fellowships, then it will become a drinking, eating spree. In home cells, we do ministry, mission, conversion, prayer. The last point, as I conclude, Paul is telling Timothy, please go out. Tell your congregation the church needs to grow. Please generously give. Being a generous giver provides our church with resources for growth and development, and it is God, like I've said. It boosts your spirituality and your maturity. You begin planning for your resources. It gives you the time, the ability to talk with your God, plan with your God, understand Him, and even mentors you on what to give. And finally, you begin now thinking and acting closely with your God. You become a creator of creators in providing provision for others. May God give us the grace. May God give us the ability. May God give us the synergy to work together, understand His will, and then generous giving becomes part and parcel of your life. Remember, we normally give in these bags around. But generous giving also implies that you as an entity, like Grace Sentongo, you also think about tithing. I thought I was ending. Let me talk about tithing. The Church of Uganda is very weak at tithing. We are very, very weak. And we have not learned tithing. Tithing is part and parcel, it is biblical of our life. You take part of what God has given you, a tenth, and then you come and thank God. But many of us, even at all sense where I come from, don't know. We are trying, people are picking up. I also want Dr. Nyigari, I heard you talk about it, I was very happy. Tithing brings you closer to God. You begin thinking in your own parameters and then apportioning funds to come and assist a church to grow. That money, when it comes together, then the church plans for it. In the name of God the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.